Savage Ventmaw attacks. Add 3 red, 3 green until end of turn. Don't lose this mana as step.
Camera underscore Lee underscore Favantage is now live. Streaming games
Oh,
plus
okay,
demos.
that's
Camera.
for
LifeVintage.com.
maintaining your mana, your floating stuff.
So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if double strike counts for that triggering fight, since it says when Ventmaw attacks, add 6 mana total.
No.
3 red, 3 green.
Remember, attacking the action. I declare attack first.
Yeah. Unless it gets a double attack where
Yeah, unless you get a second battle phase. If you got a card that gives you a second battle phase,
is still enough to pull out some other shit.
yeah, you're gonna be able to drop another dragon off that.
Primal Might is ridiculous. Because here, in fact, almost every creature in here is a dragon. Or some way to get me a dragon.
Well, that's what a dragon deck should be. If you've got a tribal setup, you should be able to do stuff per tribe. So
Dragon's Horde, Arcane Signet, Commander's Sphere, Talisman of Impulse, Soul Ring, Steel Hellkite. Okay, so I can pay X mana, and then I can destroy or non-land permanents with a mana cost of X. That Hellkite dealt damage to.
okay, so X is supposed to be damage.
Atarka Monument. Tap, add red or green. Pay 4 in red and green. Becomes a 4/4 red and green dragon artifact creature with flying until end of turn. And then, of course, I got Swift Boots. Again, a lot of draw speeds here. And obviously with green, dragons are already big, but let's make dragons bigger.
Why wouldn't you? You
And in this
want
variant,
to smack them as hard as you can, normally. So
1 mana, Blossoming Defense. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 and gain hexproof until end of turn. Oh, nice. 2 mana, double the power of target creature until end of turn.
Yeah, and if they had double strike, that's even more fun. Make your 5/5 a 10/5, and then they double strike hitting for 20. So
And 1 mana of any card energy. When that mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with this mana. Okay, I can scry as long as it's a dragon.
it's tribal, so it'll probably be a dragon. So
Actually, this could help in a way, since Niv is a dragon. This would help out a little bit. Not a lot, but it would help out a little. So, it costs nothing to play. It's a land. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a dragon creature spell.
What color is that?
There is no color. It just has to match my commander's color scheme. So if I use it to cast my commander, which is a dragon,
Yeah.
I can use it then.
Yes.
I can't use it on anything else. It has to be a dragon.
Yes. So if you're going to use it for Niv, for...
Yeah. The problem is it doesn't help it out a lot. I'm saying something like this would help, but not much. It doesn't replace Jewel's Lotus. It doesn't replace Mana Crypt. It's just one extra thing to help get a mana that I'm needing. If I have 3 red, but I only have 2 blue, okay, this works great for an emergency backup. But, again, I'm not going to find anything that's going to get me Niv out in turn 3 ever again. I don't think there's anything that's going to get Niv out in turn 3. Unless I change the... Because there's 2 different Nivs. There's one that costs 3 red, 3 blue, where it can't be countered whenever I'm playing it. When it comes up to the field, you can't counter it, you can't target it while it's coming out. Once it's out, then you can do whatever you want. Or I could go with the other one that cost me a blue and red and then 3 colorless.
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, 4 colorless. I could do that, but it still has the same effect of draw a card, or when I cast instant of sorcery, I choose a target, do 1 damage, draw a card.
Red has boosters for mana. Black is better at it, but red does have some. I know they say Seething Song, it's a little overkill because it's 5 red for 3 mana, right? But there's other stuff lower where you pay 1 red and get 2 red and stuff like that. So you could still technically get Niv out turn 3, you just need more cards than just, 1 Jeweled Lotus was way better.
Then there's just a good one for board control. Demanding Dragon. You have a choice. You can sacrifice a creature, you take 5 damage to the face when it comes out. And this dragon's really nice because it creates 2 treasure tokens when it comes out.
That's just more mana, so yeah.
And there's a nice one too because it lets me pick targets for my creatures to attack. And when I do so, my creatures get +1/+1.
Not too bad.
And of course, there's this one, the Dragon Speaker Shaman. Anything that lowers the cost of dragon spells are nice. And that one lowers the cost of dragon spells by 2.
Which is good. 2 colorless anyway.
Yep, 2 colorless.
Which doesn't work on Niv because it's solid, but yeah.
I don't know if I have this second variation. I have to look at my album book. I think I might have the second variation of Niv. That's the only one I'm going to be able to get Niv out in turn 3. I just lose the he can't be targeted or countered when he comes out. Or as he's coming out. That's nice too. 1 red. If I have 6 or more lands, play this, and I get to create a 5/5 red dragon creature token that's flying.
Well, you don't want to depend on tokens in a dragon deck, though, so...
No, this is more of a, oh shit, I still haven't been able to play a dragon. I have 6 lands, I just don't have the right color scheme set up right now to get them out.
Basically, yeah.
Okay, I can do this, and I can create a 5/5 red dragon to hold me over for a little bit. Because nobody likes fucking with a dragon.
Me.
Phase 6, exile Runehorn Health Kite from your graveyard. Each player discards their hand and then draw 7 cards. And of course, another one that lowers cost for dragons by 1 colorless. Dragon Lord Servant. Harbinger of Hunt. 2 in red. Harbinger of Hunt deals 1 damage to each creature without flying. And Great Harbinger of the Hunt deals 1 damage to each creature with flying.
It has to be with flying?
If I pay 2 and a green. If it's 2 and a red without flying. 2 and a green with flying.
Oh, right, that's that adjustable one, huh? Okay.
And this one here is just to make you think twice about targeting my dragons. Thunderbreak Regent. Flying, whenever a dragon you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, Thunderbreak Regent deals 3 damage to that player.
That's still a decent amount. Maybe it doesn't seem that aggressive because 40 health down the commander game, but
Considering the fact this is a dragon deck with a lot of 4, 5s, and 6s, at that point you start questioning how valuable is your health and how much health are you willing to sacrifice to do certain things. I won't lie, maybe it's just me being a rookie, but if I'm seeing shit that's costing me life to do and then they're going to take more life for me to target their things, I'm going to be a little more weary about using my tutors. Especially if I see dragons flying around. But again, that just might be me being a rookie.
life is a resource, but you can definitely catch those people off guard because you're taking their health faster than they're taking their own health, right? So...
Wow, legendary token?
Those have some complicated rules considering technically it's still a legendary creature and you can't have more than one legendary of the same name.
When Varric Bladewing enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, create a Torok Bladewing, a legendary 4/4 red dragon creature token with fly. Wait, that makes no sense because this is the same fucking dragon.
What do you mean it's the same fucking dragon?
This creature is called Varric Bladewing. When Varric's Bladewing enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, create Varric's Bladewing, a legendary 4/4 dragon creature token with flying. So it's the same fucking creature, they're both legendary. They can't both exist.
Is it the same creature though?
It's the same name. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're very similar but different.
No. This is Varric's, and the token that you make is a Karox.
Okay.
But they're both blade wings, right?
Yeah, that's the part that's throwing me out.
That they are technically different names, and this one is a token that it makes.
So they can both exist.
Yes. Now, if you try to flicker, I don't know if you know what that means. It's a skill that sometimes it'll remove the card and play the card, remove the card. It's an infinite combo, right? And if you did that with him, right? Okay, every time he gets cast, you make that token. Well, the token's a legendary, so the token's going to be destroying itself because it can't have more than one copy of its own name. So your token's going to be popping its own token. So going infinite with that card, impossible, because you can't make infinite dragon tokens because you can only have one of that token on the field. Because it is considered a legendary. It says specifically it's a legendary.
Finally, that was for infinite combos. It says if whenever I lose a dragon creature, it does damage to player. That's the only way that would really work. Because technically, I'm losing a dragon creature infinitely and dishing damage out due to the fact I'm losing dragon.
If you could figure out a way to flicker it, I think that technically does work. Unless they have some kind of ruling on that card specifically, but I'm pretty sure you could do it that way. You're gonna make a legendary creature, and then the legendary creature is gonna get another legendary creature, right? And now these ones are one of them has to be sacrificed because of the same name. So technically, it would be dying because it would be a sacrifice, unless they changed it from sacrifice to fizzle or disappear.
I don't think there's anything there that does that.
No, there's nothing in that starter deck that does that.
Well, I mean, again, though, this is a very interesting pre-constructed deck. Though. It feels like it's way too good for it to be what it is for a pre-constructed deck and for how much this deck specifically costs. Honestly, it wasn't even the most expensive out of the.
It wasn't,
deck.
no.
The most expensive out of those was the Open the Grave.
Oh yeah, that one makes more sense because that card could be a staple somewhere. That's why. That's how those decks work.
So you're thinking the same thing, right? If I do play these guys, I should play them with this deck.
Yeah. Your landfall. Well, for one, you need more practice with it. Two, it'll just be funny. They're not going to know what to do unless they have a combo, and it doesn't sound like they do.
No, when I told him about my Niv-Mizzet Firemine,
Where you infinitely draw out your cards and win the game, yeah.
he was confused about that. I was like, what? I was, yeah, I got a combo deck, and it's a nasty combo deck. I was like,
You might be only familiar with combos that go infinite. Then. Infinite mana combos are like really stupid common and like old.
yeah. I think so, because he was talking about somebody making infinite elves.
Yeah, you could definitely do that with infinite mana.
So.
Riz was one of the first decks that would do it. So yeah.
Because that's what he was talking about. He's like, oh, so yeah. I told him, like, yeah, I got an infinite combo. He's like, oh, God, you create infinite creatures too. I was like, no. Not at all, sir.
Nope. That's not how this one was built. Could you go infinite mana? Technically, you do have a card set up that could do it. The problem is it's so weird that there's no point in doing it. What are you going to spend infinite mana on if you already ran your hand dry?
Yeah.
Infinite mana is like no point in your deck.
Yeah.
That's why I use Thrasios, because Thrasios, at least I have an ability to draw out my deck with infinite mana, right? So, 4 mana, who cares? I got infinite, right? Now I get to scry 1 and draw it. If it's a land, it goes into the field. Yeah, hell yeah.
I don't know. I think he'll freak out once he sees it.
I think you could use the more practice, and I think it's going to be funny to see his reaction, to be like, oh, this is what you mean by competitive.
Because I told him, it's an unorthodox competitive deck.
It could be that he is competitive and he could be a top player around these parts,
Yeah.
yes. But being a top player in a small town is just being a big fish in a puddle.
Yeah.
Because there's always a bigger fish. So,
I don't know his first name, but his last name's Ruby. But I don't know if it's somebody you know, because when he said infinite elves, I'm sitting there thinking, like, that sounds like an ant scheme right there.
it's actually a really common scheme. But yeah, that is something I have done, and I have done that a lot in the past. So,
Because when he was talking about infinite mana, I said, like, one person I know for sure that does that shit is my buddy Amy.
oh yeah, I definitely do that shit all the time.
Let's see. It's going to show up on my suggestion. Because he was for a while. But we're supposed to exchange phone numbers too at some point.
Well, if he wants to play, then yeah, you're gonna have to do that at some point.
But yeah, I don't think he is because he didn't know what natural 20 was.
Well,
I don't
unless
think
you,
he's that hardcore of a player. Unless he lied to me to give me to drop my card.
it's
Mad respect that
Ha-
he did.
possibly. I find that unlikely, but
So
possibly.
there's no point in it if I tell you I'm new and I'm not that. I tell him all the time, I'm a rookie. I'm a casual player. I shouldn't say rookie, but I'm casual.
You are a casual player with a competitive deck. The opposite of what Kaiba says, right? Third-rate duelist with a fourth-rate deck? Yeah.
Why is it not showing suggested friend anymore? Oh, that's AI first of all. A green tree python is not going to be in the water. I'm hating AI, I'm going to be honest with you.
Well, it's very unregulated right now, so it's kind of a scary thought.
Yeah, there's no rules for it yet. Let's see. Ruby Mac. Now, just so you don't get freaked out, the guy is a witch. I guess his religion.
He's pagan. Okay. I was like, I'm thinking that's the word. Got it.
I don't
Those,
know if he's a Wiccan or what, but I know he believes he's a witch. His wife's the same. So, there's a heads up so you don't get freaked out. Or, I shouldn't say freaked out, but throw you off.
I don't prefer people like that, but I'm not gonna judge them for it. So now, if they start doing something beyond the beyond the card game, right?
Yeah. That's something
if you're gonna fucking start casting spells and bullshit, I'm gonna put you down.
Yeah.
You're possessed. You're dead. I'm gonna send you to the creator right fucking now, because we need to solve the problem.
That's something we both agree on. When we play Magic the Gathering, there is no religion. We just play Magic
We're
the Gathering.
playing a game. It's a friendly
That's it.
game, you know.
No casting curses or seance or any of that bullshit.
I'm not gonna be converted. I'm not gonna hold it against you, but you ain't converting me, so don't bother.
That's just it. We're all under the agreement of not discussing our religion. That's why I just wanted to give you a heads up. I know you're religious. I'm religious. Well, I'm religious to a certain extent. I understand the religions. I know a lot of the different kinds of religions and cultures. I don't practice them, but I do believe in a higher power. I do not believe I'm going to heaven, by all means. Like, that doesn't mean I feel like I do evil things, but I do cuss a lot. So,
Yeah, then, well, following Jesus is a good thing for you because his rules for getting there aren't that hard. So that it's probably the best choice.
for me personally,
Because I know I can't follow like anything like Buddha or Hindu or stuff like that. I'm just like, nah, that seems a little too off.
too late for that. God is forgiving. So,
We are
and they do say
we are
that
under
he
grace.
forgives soldiers who had to kill. But we didn't do it out of spite and hate.
It was a job. It was an order.
We did it to protect our loved ones and our families. Now, I don't believe I killed for God because God doesn't want me to kill anybody.
That would be the bigger difference because
I don't believe that I killed for my religion. My religion says not to do that.
well, I've seen a lot of arguments been like, oh, the atheists don't have a high death count. I'm like, bullshit. Have you seen the history counts? Because there's Mongols and I think there's a Russian as well that were specifically anti-God and had billions, millions and billions of kills.
That killed specifically religious people. They have a
It's basically ignorance, is what it is. You didn't do enough research on your own bullshit.
If you go to Kremlin, right? You go to the Kremlin, they have a tomb that you can go and visit.
Yeah.
And it has names. This has a lot of names. All these names are from religious individuals, even saints. People who were ordained saints, who was decapitated and killed by their ruler. And this is Russia. And for the longest time in Russia, you weren't allowed to have a religion. If you did, you would die. It was a crime, punishable by death if you believed in God. So there was no Orthodox, which is why they had the custom now. We don't wear these hanging out of our shirts. You're not supposed to see them. Only our closest friends and family are supposed to see our crucifixes. And I told the doctor too, like, I'm gonna be real with you. According to my religion, I'm never to take this crucifix off. However, I understand that I'm having to do tests that I can't have metal. Just bear with me because it feels weird not to have it. And again, as soon as I come out, because this is mine and my wife's religion, both Orthodox Catholic, right? As soon as I came back to the room, before I woke up, the wife already put my crucifix back on me.
Universe 6, Universe 7, and Universe 11.
So,
The
I'm like,
tournament will be
my
broken
religion.
up into rounds,
Yeah.
with rankings determined and announced.
Most hospitals aren't gonna fault you for that.
The universe with the
If they want
most
you to take it off, that's because it's a medical procedure where
I just told him
you
it feels weird. So I just tell him, hey, if we can get this done quicker so that I can get back into my room and put this back on, I feel better.
And naturally, the universe that wins the tournament will receive a special prize.
And of course, same thing goes for wedding band, but that's for obvious reasons.
Let's get this over with.
I'm proudly married.
Now then,
Despite all the arguments the wife and I have, I'm proud to be
yours
married to her.
truly. The choice is yours.
She's a good, strong woman if she can tolerate my bullshit.
I'd say so.
So, yeah, I'm just curious though, because he said he's not as competitive as his wife. He's not as competitive as Feder and his wife. But that being said, it sounds like they're competitive, even if it's just semi. Which I think that's what I need to do anyway. I think I
the
need to
wives
play-
are the more competitive ones? That's an interesting story.
Because his wife's been playing since 2007 or something like that. He picked up Magic around the same time I did, 2013. And I was like, well, you play more than I do, so you're going to be on a higher skill level. I was like, I believe I'm casual,
Skill level, yes.
maybe semi, but I'm going to lean more heavily into casual.
If you're using a personal level, yes.
Yeah, I'm talking about my personal level. I'm my card level. My card level is well above semi. My deck levels are above semi. If you put it into an equation of my deck being as good as it is, I have enough knowledge to somewhat make it work, even if I miss certain cues. But that being said, I am going to do my damnedest to make sure I memorize everything in those decks, or in that deck, so that I don't miss cues anymore. So let's be honest, once I stop missing cues, it's going to be dangerous. And that's the big thing. Just don't miss cues, don't play things too soon. Play certain things at certain times. I just got to learn when to hold them and when to play them.
Basically, yeah. Once you get those basics down, you'll be playing at a higher level for sure.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just need to work on restraint. I don't need to place everything down that creates tokens all at once. Because board wipes are a thing that exists. And me having
board
one
wipes-
or two token creators in my hand, great. Now, that being said, I also have the idea of how to utilize that one that doubles my tokens. You know, if I'm getting ready and I see a board wipe, oh, hey, I got Crater Hoof in my hand now. Let's create as many tokens as I can right here, double my tokens, and then use the remainder of my mana to use Crater Hoof, and then attack with all of what I created just recently, and whatever else is on the board.
Something sick. You don't have things for haste right now.
Yeah.
But the ones that weren't sick are now really, really stupid strong, and you probably don't need the other ones because they just gave their boost to everybody else. So it's
definitely want to make sure I attack with my commander with Crater Hoof.
just in case you don't win, you're going to get some Cascade, and you might as well get the Cascade, right? So.
Mhm. Might draw into something interesting. And especially with Helix. But I'm going to be honest with you, if my commander's in the field, I'm probably going to try to tutor for Helix to get some double Cascade going. Depending on what all I get. If I know, oh, well, they didn't fuck with me much. I have all these creatures and all these tokens. I can probably take two of these guys out with a Crater Hoof.
Good, yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and tutor for Crater Hoof now, play Crater Hoof, and attack with everything.
Well, even if you don't have Crater Hoof, you have your Planeswalker.
Yeah, exactly. Planeswalker's a good backup. Good secondary.
Guess what? My Planeswalker's been out there, and you haven't heard him yet because I've been defending him. I'm going to -4, give everybody 3/3 and trample.
Yeah, that's the other thing, too. I forgot. Scoop technically counts as infinite with a certain amount of mana. I make so many scoots, I can throw in however many to protect.
If it would be an infinite scheme, you're using
I realize
you're
that.
using
I use
infinite.
infinite very
Yeah,
loosely there.
yeah.
What I meant to say is I make enough
You'll make
where
plenty.
I can throw a scoot in for a chunk block. Which would probably be more, why would somebody do that?
Why not?
Yeah, I have more than 6 mana, so therefore my scoots don't just create insects anymore, they create scoots. They are reproducing themselves at a very rapid rate. I'm getting a scoot every turn.
More than one, probably, because you're playing more than one.
Landfall trigger.
It'll
I did
go.
tell 'em that.
It'll go. It'll go even faster once you get those expensive fetch lands, right? You're
Yeah.
gonna be like,
Play
okay,
it as a land, sacrifice it right away, get more lands,
well,
play them.
well, just by itself is you play the land, you tap it, you pay 1 life, you go search for a land because you're sacking it. You're gonna find a land that's a basic that is either requested or whatever. Put it into play, meaning you can still tap it for mana. Now you have an artifact to play that same land you just sacrificed back into play. You just played 3 lands off that one guy that just helped you pull shit.
And not to mention the creature that let me play additional lands per turn.
That's almost not counting those because the fetch land you can use technically twice because the artifact counts as play a land for once, and then you played a land for once. So you played a fetch land, pull out another land, so you have 1 unused land. The artifact will play that fetch land. You can tap it again to play another land from the deck. So you
Right
just
there.
played 4 lands, and you have 2 mana to still play with. That's if it was first turn almost, right? Obviously your artifact wouldn't be out there first turn, but that's still a lot of stuff going on first turn.
Well, we've already seen how out of hand it can get. Turn 1 can get pretty out of hand.
I'd say so.
Like, I've gotten lucky before where the Lotus
We-
Cobra
we-
was out.
We could put in the mana rocks that are 0 drops and that can't tap for any the mock stuff. We could totally put in the mock stuff. Is it necessary? No. But we could do it just so your first turn could be a commander summon right there.
Which is terrifying for most players.
Because nobody else is going to have a 4-drop commander on turn 1. It might be sick, but next turn around he's going to be swinging and you're going to be cascading.
Yep.
So they're going to be worried about that cascade even more, even though it's not technically a cascade
being turn
deck.
1, not everybody's going to have things on the board to deal with it.
It's pretty strong for being a forecast. So
They're coming out with no one really having blockers yet. Yeah. Yeah, we could definitely do that, and that would make it. I would say that would definitely put me more competitive at that point. Because now, turn 1, I'm doing a lot of crazy shit. On top of playing a lot of fucking lands, now I'm cascading into other stuff.
depends what's not in your hand at the time, because it could be anything that gets cascaded as long as it's less than what you casted.
Yep.
So, you cast a 4, it's got to be a 3 or less.
And in this case, it's based on whatever the commander did for damage. Which I think the commander is a 5? A 5 or a 4? One of them.
No, that's not how Cascade works. Your commander's going to give everything Cascade. You have to cast something to get the Cascade on it. So everything you cast has Cascade. But you still have to have the mana to cast something to trigger it. So you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to pay 5.
Yeah, you're right, because it does specifically say, as I cast things from my hand. Which is still scary, even at turn 1, because of how much mana I'd have.
That's why I'm saying you need more practice with it, because now you're like, oh, Cascade's just free casting. Yay, no. There's a rotation to it.
I gotta play something, spend that mana.
Well,
Whatever I spend,
you have
now
to
I
do
get free
the damage. Now everything you play from your hand has Cascade. So now you go to main phase 2, you have to cast something to make sure the Cascade hits. and then whatever you cascade into that's less than what you cast immediately gets cast for free. So it's going to help you burn through your deck really fast because lands don't count.
Right.
So you're going to go through your deck pretty quick. So I'm wondering if we do make more adjustments when you get better with it, instead of just doing the fetch lands, we might want to switch it up and be like, okay, maybe Epic is not as fun as we want it to be because it's not doing its job right because it's hard to get.
Yep.
How about we take that out, and how about we put in some rescue cards? Like, oh, I got board wipe. Well, I have this card that I play, and it allows me to take this card from the graveyard, put it back in my hand. Guess what? It has Cascade because of my commander this turn. Oh, look, now I Cascade with this thing again, and now I get to pull something else. So I pulled something, I saved something to cast it again, but use the Cascade to play something more. So you might want to put some save cards in it. Their black has some resurrect stuff that you could probably do. We have options because of your colors.
Because the only color I'm missing is white. That's it. If I had white, it'd have every color of the rainbow.
Yeah, but you would have to have a different commander. And if we were doing a different commander that was a 5-color, I'd suggest Child of Alara just to mess with people. But
right.
Because if it dies, the board gets wiped. So.
Oh God, with that deck, that'd be horrible. That would fuck with everyone except me for the most part.
And then you would just play your Child of Alara again.
Because I could still keep the commander I have, just he wouldn't be a commander anymore. He'd just be another typical card I now use to Cascade and rescue every time there's a board wipe going on. Oh, well, I'm going to do this. And since I did this, now I'm going to cast him with Cascade. Since I was able to draw him back in my hand. I'm going to use cast something that costs 4 mana or more. Now I can play this card that costs 4 mana as a Cascade. So now I got him back on the board. Then I'm going to go ahead and tap this and get my commander back on the field.
Yep.
You do that so much, people are like, fuck, it doesn't matter what we do. He recreates the board presence.
Yeah, as soon as somebody starts to build something, you mop it.
Yeah, because all I gotta do at that point is sack my commander.
Yep.
Oh, you guys got some good shit. I'm gonna sack my commander. I'm gonna go ahead and do this.
Yeah.
Pull this card back from the grave. And I'm going to play it off the Cascade. I'm going to tap this mana, play my commander. And since this guy did damage for all that on my turn, me casting my commander activates Cascade again. Now I can play something for 5 mana. Whatever comes up off the top of my deck at that point. Oh, look, this comes out. Yay. That's terrifying. I'm going to do that. That's terrible. Especially, I don't have to do much to it other than add some white to the lands I do have.
Just 1 or 2, because your fetch lands will solve that problem, and if your fetch lands don't, your Lotus Cobra could.
Yeah, exactly. I'll make up the white that I need.
With a mana dork or whatever.
Yeah, because I got a lot of shit in there that says I get to declare. Oh, I got one enchantment that says my lands tap for whatever I want.
Yeah.
I can declare the color right off the bat. Forest is no longer.
Well, you have an enchantment that does that, and then there's that artifact I was showing you the other day that also does it. So it's like, well, you know.
Yeah. I don't see colors that way anymore. My deck is no longer racist. It doesn't require this color to work anymore. I can make that color.
Exactly.
Because all my lands are all colors. I just gotta declare. Fuck, we need to do that. What was that card called?
Which one?
The one you were just talking about, where I sacrifice it, wipe the board.
Yeah, Child of Alara. It's supposed to be all five colors, one of each color. And
How do you spell that? Alara?
Alara. Yeah, I have no idea how that's spelled.
Okay.
Is it 2 L's or 1 L?
And it's not expensive.
No, it shouldn't be. It was expensive when it first
81
hit.
cents. Literally, that's what it cost on Card Kingdom. Green, red, blue, black, and white.
Yeah.
Legendary creature avatar. Trample. When Child of Alara is put into a graveyard from play, destroy all non... Oh, that won't work because technically it won't go into the graveyard. It goes back into the command zone.
That's not how that works.
Because it specifically says it has to go to the graveyard.
Which it does. Oh, you don't... Oh, right, you don't know the...
No.
It goes like this. When something happens to your commander, it goes to the place that it's supposed to go. And then you get the priority to adjust it and go back to the command zone. So it can technically go into your hand. It can technically get removed from play. It can technically go into the graveyard. And then you get priority to be like, do you wish to put it back into the main command zone? And then the answer is normally yes. Because you don't want it. In this case, it doesn't matter. It would be yes because you need it in the command zone to cast again, but it hit the graveyard first. So the effect will initiate as it hits. Unless they do an adjustment on the rules, that's exactly what's supposed to happen, is that if the commander dies, it is technically hitting the graveyard or removed from play. So what is it board wide? It's put into the graveyard from play, destroy all non-land permanents. They can't be regenerated.
I'll probably that would include me too, though.
Yep, it's
That means I won't be able to pull the creature out of the graveyard to play him again. That would put a damper on things.
Yeah, you can, because most of the stuff I'm saying is either a spell to cast or a creature that is an
Oh, so the regenerate means it has to have an ability that says if it goes to the
Regenerate.
graveyard, it comes back.
Regenerate is its own ability. That's why it says that, right? Regenerate is something that happens that you pay a cost for, and it interrupts before it hits the grave. So you can pay the regenerating cost before technically hitting the grave.
Where this says you can't.
Yeah, that
It's gonna go to
completely...
the grave.
Regenerate means a specific ability. You
Okay.
have nothing that says regenerate, so you don't even
This
have
is
to.
why it's
worry
half casual. I don't know all the rules. But yeah, this would be a very monstrous card. to put in
I
there.
know a lot of rulings, but
That
I'm
is
not
one
qualified
scary
as a
baby.
judge.
That is one scary baby to be playing with this deck. We're going to do it. 81 cents?
Just to have the option to maybe...
Change it. For one, I told him my commander is red, blue, black, green. Then me showing up like, oh, I modified my deck a little bit. And then throw this motherfucker in there. It's like, you added white. That's not a little bit. You completely changed up your scheme. No, I really only changed one card.
Yeah, the commander.
Mhm.
The commander
Maybe like-
the commander I had is in the deck because now I'm going to tutor for him.
And now I still have my fetch lands, which will let me draw a plane.
So basically, you would have to take out the epic because if you're board wiping both players, having 20 monsters to win the game is probably not going to happen anymore.
Yeah, that's useless. If I can replace that for planes.
No, you replace that for Child of Alara.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe
Because then you're going to swap commanders because you're going to have him in the deck and her out on the thing, right?
Yeah.
So I assume it's a her. I don't know.
It's an it. It's still a baby. It doesn't even look fully formed yet. Like, literally,
Yeah.
it's a fetus. That would really fuck with people hard. And again, it wouldn't affect me that much at all.
No, you would still have to rebuild your board, but it says non-land.
Yeah.
Meaning all the lands that you've been doing crazy goofy shit with, still there.
and I'm controlling everybody else's board, keeping them from getting out of hand, while at the same time
You would
building my
you would
board.
have to put in recover cards because it says all other permanents basically,
Yep.
meaning your artifacts are also going to get popped.
Yep,
So-
it covers artifacts and
So you need to recover your artifact that lets you play your lands from the grave.
crucible worlds. I also got creatures that let me do it. That's also good.
There's an elf that allows you to do it. When it gets cast for 3, you get to pick something from the grave and put it back into your hand. So
I got one that lets me play an additional land per turn, and I can play lands from my graveyard. So that's nice too, because it never happens with this deck.
technically,
I have never been mana hungry with this deck.
that's the whole idea of the deck, is that you're not going to be mana screwed ever, basically.
No.
Maybe on color,
Yeah,
But-
I'd say that's the only way I've been screwed.
but that's because you don't. Yeah, that's because you don't have the fetch lands yet.
I didn't add the other lands either that let me look for them. I mean, yeah, sure they come and tap, but I could have been using those to sack it and get the colors I needed,
True.
but I didn't do that because wasn't smart enough to do that. Oh, I can do that.
There are a lot of cards we could do to tweak it too.
Mhm.
So when you're playing, you're going to see other cards that other people are using and be like, I could probably put that in my deck.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think there's a lot that, looking at the way that deck is built, because it's so mana, there's so much gas to it. I can get away with adding a few things there, take a couple of things that's not really helping it, and throw in win conditions that I think would be ridiculous with it.
You could go with alternate win conditions. You can go with other like mana dorks of other colors. Like I have a black zombie elf or something. When I tap it for mana, because it's a mana dork, there's a cost. I have to remove a land from the graveyard. It doesn't have to be mine. I can remove their fetch lands to produce the mana. So technically, I can hinder their graveyard with it as well. And there's 3 other abilities like that, but cost mana. So we could totally do stuff like that. You'll see cards that other people are playing. You're like, that might want to be something I want to, put it on your list and be like, okay, what does it do? Okay, I'm going to, I'll ask Anthony later.
I might have you help me with that. And I can give you 81 cents later on. Because I'm wanting to do that, to be honest. So that changes up a lot of things.
That changes up good.
It gives me board control.
Oh yeah, you'll control the board. The problem is that you also mop your own, right? So it's like,
Yeah, but at that point, though, how much of a hindrance is it to me? Because I know what I have and what I don't have.
your
Right.
play style changes, okay? And you're going to build a board, but you're not going to go after the commander to get the cascade now. You're not even going to touch the commander. You're just using it for the colors. Now, when somebody starts building the board as big as yours, or like they're
Now,
postponing
I pull my
you,
commander out,
then you're like,
sack it.
okay, just I'll bring I'll bring Alara back. Boom. Okay. Now this kid's on the board, and guess what? I'm gonna pop it,
Yeah.
and now all the board is gone except
Not
for
to
lands.
mention, I can cascade it. If I attack, we'll go to my combat phase. I attack with my old commander, get that cascade trigger.
And go to main
Cast
phase
my
2.
commander.
Yeah.
That's 5 mana I just spent.
Yep.
Now I can cast whatever I draw off the top of my hand or deck.
That's 5 or less.
5 or less.
Well, 4 or
play.
less. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, look at that. Boom. There's not a lot of things I have in there that's going to
The odds that it's going to be a creature is pretty good, though. That's the problem. Is that now, if I need the board wipe and Child of Alara is on the field, what if I pop your commander to board wipe you before I play stuff? So you got to be worried that the
That's why
opponent
it'll
might
be-
utilize it.
That's why it'll be something I pull out afterwards. Right after the attack phase, and I see that, okay, you guys got good shit, I'm going to put it here, sack it,
Well,
wipe
you-
the board.
You need an ability to sack it, but yeah, we would have to figure out how to do that because you don't have a lot of sack cards.
No. I mean, I have a few that says sacrifice a creature, like my Gigantoad. It says sacrifice creature or
To get an ability, yeah. You
Well,
would have to put
in
more
order for
stuff.
it to stay on the field at the beginning of each of my upkeeps, I have to sack a creature
Yeah,
for it to stay out.
yeah.
That being said, it's not the greatest idea to use it for that whenever I'm trying to sack a creature to keep it. But now I'm sacking my commander, which is going to make me lose it anyway.
Yep. That's how exactly it works, because it's going to mop the board. That's probably why it's 81 cents now, because it mops everybody's board.
But I mean, it does make people think about: do I really want to take out that commander right now?
Yeah, do I want to lose everything on my board? And a lot of people are using mana rocks, right?
Mhm.
That mops all the mana rocks too,
Whereas for me, it doesn't affect me that much.
because you're using lands, actual lands, and it doesn't target lands because it says non-lands get blown
And that
up.
includes fetch lands, because fetch lands are still lands.
Yep.
So my fetch lands are safe. And then I can sack my fetch lands to get more lands that come into play. Preferably, I got some that brings them back into play untapped, so I can tap those lands to do some other cool shit. So it definitely requires some stuff, but I'm starting to understand the Cascade combo better now, which helps me figure out how to make this work better. But the other thing is, how many times am I willing to rescue Gidmir over some other stuff? Yes, Cascade's nice. The landfall is still there. I'm still creating tokens.
True.
So I have that to recreate board presence, which is why I was thinking about it. Like, oh, if I wipe the board, as long as I have something that creates tokens based on the land and landfalls,
We could also, instead of doing the Child of Alara, you can actually put in... You have most of the colors with this commander, yes? Well, why not just put in a board wipe that costs 7 or 8? Why not do Damnation or Wrath of God? Actually, that might be a good... I think Damnation is more expensive, but yeah... God, Magic Gathering. Granted, that one's a white card, but yeah,
yeah, Damnation $18.
it's actually not bad for Damnation.
Destroy all creatures, they can't be regenerated.
Yep.
And it costs 4 mana. Oh
Yep.
my!
And Wrath of God's the same thing, 4 mana.
But that one's white. This one here is black.
Yeah.
Which I already have in my color.
There's also board wipes for red and stuff
Yeah.
too. So
I mean, that would definitely add more of a challenge now, because now I have ways to control boards.
well, that
Because you're
reminds
saying that's the one thing I was weak on, not being able to control boards, not being able to do things. And oftentimes, board wipes is an answer to a lot of problems.
well, think about it. You can combo it, use Damnation, and then play your instant that makes all your creatures indestructible. So now all of your creatures aren't going away.
Oh, that would work. But if I give them indestructible, even if I did use Child of Alara, if I make them indestructible before Child of Alara goes to the graveyard,
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. I just wiped everybody else's board, and my board is untouched.
The difference is that you still need an ability to sacrifice it to ignition the trigger, right?
Yep.
But another change is that it doesn't target just creatures, it targets everything except for lands. Meaning you're gonna, even my competitive deck, that means all my mana rocks are gone. That's all my enchantments are gone. All my creatures are gone. You basically set me back to almost the first stage of the game. Because all I have are my lands that I played one at a time.
And
So,
what I'm seeing for a lot of decks nowadays, a lot of them are focusing on mana rocks over just lands.
yeah, that's because it's the speed. Because a lot of mana rocks are zeros and ones, and you're just like, boom, 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 I'm building a backboard, not a frontboard. So,
Whereas me being able to take out mana rocks really, really hurt me. Whereas for me, oh, I lost my Crucible World, but I got this creature that does the same thing my Crucible World did.
True.
And I get to play an additional land on top of that. Oh. Bye-bye, Crucible World. Well, now I got you. Yeah, look at that. I got a creature that does that now.
You might want more instances that make you indestructible at that point, or something like that. We can
And
make
then this
it
way
work.
here, oh, I lost both. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Now I'm going to search my graveyard. Alright, I pull up Crucible World. It comes onto the battlefield tap.
We're also might have a problem with your exalted creature in there. Your mana dork attached with 3 different colors. I think it produces white.
If that's the case, then I'm definitely Child of Alara.
Well, if you don't have Child of Alara, you have to pull that mana dork out because it produces white, which is a color that you're not technically using. So now I'm worried that that was a mistake in building there, having that one in there.
I mean, if so, it's an easy fix. Child of Alara is 81 cents, and I can get that by the end of the week.
If you want to go that route, yes.
Which, honestly, I'm not seeing any downsides of doing that. Just for board control.
I think your deck is more interesting as is with this commander, but yeah, if you want to swap it up, we can. But to be honest, it gives you more options. But the more options are more to slow you down or slow your opponents down, right?
Yeah.
You're going to slow the gameplay itself down.
Yeah, and that's all that I'm going to do. Not see where it's at. What was it called?
Noble Hierarch? I'm pretty sure I saw it in this deck. If it was in another deck, then it might be okay, but if it's in this one, I think it produces white mana. I think they released a ruling that if your cards produce a mana that isn't in your deck, it's also unable to be used in the deck.
Noble, yeah. No, that one's fine because that just produces black, red, or green. Gotta have Ignoble Hierarch. Cost green, tap it for black, red, or green. Nothing about white. Is that the one you were thinking of?
Oh, it's an ignoble instead of a noble. Okay. No, this one's A-okay.
Yeah, because
This might be the one I saw, and I was like, oh crap, is that the noble hierarch? Crap. Because that one's supposed to, instead of producing black, it produces white.
This one here produces black, so we're good.
Okay. You don't need to adjust anything right now.
I mean, honestly, if I wanted to add control, I got blue in my color scheme. I can always add counters. I can always do other things too. Like with black, I could definitely go with Damnation if that's what I needed to do. To get some type of control, something to counter.
Yeah. Instead of using Child of Alara, you can actually put in. Actually, red's got a lot of good board wipes. So you could look at the red cards and be like, yeah, I can make red mana off of doing my other goofy shit, right? So you could definitely be like, well, I have this red card. You can also wheel with red and be like, all I have are lands in my hands. Guess what? I'm going to wheel. Wheel means I discard my hand and draw the same amount or draw 7 or whatever. Oh, wait, it works for everybody. So all those good cards you were holding on to, gone now. So, we could totally do some wheels and be like, well, I need to refresh my hand. Guess what? Haha. Now you have to refresh your hand even though you were holding those counters to get me, right? So.
Yep. It'd be nice if I could find something that says, because I play top deck a lot. If I find some way to say, because there's cards out there that says the player with the most cards in hand they discard and everybody else draws the same amount of cards that person discards, great for me. I had nothing in my hands.
Yeah.
You had even 4 cards. That's 4 cards I didn't have.
Instead of using blue as a draw scheme, I would use red as a wheel to be like, well, all I'm going to do is discard 2 lands, and I can play them from the grave anyway, so it's not a loss for me, but if it hurts everybody else, right, what's the harm in it, right? You're just goofing the game right there and be like, guess what? Everybody gets 5 new cards.
Yeah.
Toss your old hands, stupid.
Damn, I'm out of cards. I got 1 card left, guys. Fuck it. Everybody toss your hands. Draw 5.
That could be a catch-22 because, okay, you made me get rid of all these cards, but I happen to have Oracle on the last, whatever, right? Oh, I play Oracle, I win the game, haha, right?
Right. But, I mean, there wasn't going to be much I was going to do anyways if my hand's empty. If me attacking at that point wasn't going to win the game, I just increased my odds of being able to do something that will by me making everybody else discard. If you happen to win, you're probably going to win anyways. Like, if you were 5 cards away from that, you were going to win in 5 turns anyway, or less.
Probably.
So, at that point, I don't look at it as a big loss. Like, well, with what I had, I did the best and smartest move I could. It just so happened this person was way luckier and was able to draw their win condition that won them the game.
It's still a game, and it's still based on luck because it's still a card game. But yeah.
But at the same time, I get the fun of making everyone else frustrated. Because chances are, even though you have that card, you don't know you're going to get it. It's still going to frustrate you that you just had to discard a card that maybe would have gotten it to you. Right? Like, oh, I need to do this, and then I can do this, and I can look for this card and be okay. Or, alright, I have this combo getting ready to be set up. This will prolong long enough for me to win. I mean, even though you still won, I still give you that panic mode for a little bit of, fuck, you just made me throw away my cards.
Well, basically, if they were holding on to tutors, they had one piece of their win condition, now you just tossed it, now they have to look for a different win condition. That's happened to me a couple times in tournaments, is that they had me wheel, I had Oracle in my hand, but I didn't have the card that allows me to get through my deck, right? So I had to toss Oracle. So now I have to be like, okay, now I have to look for Laboratory Maniac or something else to win the game now, because I don't have Oracle, right? Or I have to find my card that lets me save Oracle so I can use Oracle, right? So it's still a strat. You still could do it.
I mean, I can't sit there and contemplate every outcome, because no matter what I do, there's going to be something else that triggers. For every action, there's a reaction. I can't stop all the reactions.
How many of those opponents are built to oppose you is the biggest thing. Is how many of these people are built to oppose you, and who is semi-built for, they may have the cards to stop me, but did they really build it to stop me? If I build something to stop you, I'm going to fucking beat you. I have proved it many times. If I build a deck that is specifically for you, I'm going to trash you. Somebody else is probably going to kill me, but you're not. I've done that.
Thank you. Well, honestly, at that point, you'd stop me every step of the way, so there wouldn't be anything going on. So people don't know this deck, for example. If you stop that deck in its track, nobody knew until after the game's over. Like, yeah, you guys really thank him, because I wasn't able to take off at all.
Yeah, because somebody had you pinned. They had your number the whole game, right? So,
whereas it's like, if you don't believe me afterwards, we can play for fun, and I will show you what he helped you to avoid.
Depending on how fast the game is, a lot of people will be like, hey, let's play another round while all the other pods are still going, because we only did 5 turns. Let's just play another game, right? So a lot of times, most pods will do that and be like, yeah, we'll play another game, we'll see who wins the second one, and be like, oh, okay, that's how it should have been played, or whatever. But,
well, I mean, you're playing again, and you're obviously going to use the same deck. 'Cause there's no point in bringing multiple decks to a tournament.
Some people do. I'd rather not. You're getting practice in with the tournament, right? So
I only plan to bring that one deck. So I gotta get a deck box for that at some point.
so bring that one, and then you can bring a goof one for just free play. Like I'll bring just the dragons for free play.
Right.
So if somebody's like, "Oh, we're only playing casual in this little group over there because they're out of the tournament or never started the tournament or whatever, they're just playing on their own," and you're like, "Well, everybody beat me in the tournament, so I'm going to come over here and play with you guys for a second, right?" And they're casual players, so you're like, "Well, I only brought my competitive, and how do you feel about that kind of
Nerd.
conversation?" You'll be like, "Well, I have my competitive, it does this. I have this casual that is, your dragons. It's a precon that hasn't been modified." Normally, if you say precon and not modified, people are okay with it. They're like, "Okay, that's mostly casual at that point."
Right.
Means you didn't put in all the fancy mana rocks and all that other goofy shit. So
It just makes me so sad, though. I distinctly wanted a tier 1 deck and found that Niv Mizzet Firemind was the tier 1 deck that was easiest to get to, but I already had more than half the card that was required for it.
that's also the option: is do I have the money to build it? Should I build it this way? Should I adjust it? There's a lot of stuff that go on. So
I told him how much I spent on that deck. Just for them to ban the one card that I really, really needed to make it T1. I was like, they banned one card and dropped my deck from T1 to like T3 or T4.
you shouldn't be building your deck around one individual card. But
I mean, we really didn't. It does help, though, because it mills me out. But
if you're building around an individual card, you better pray it's your commander.
that's why I did that. It was my commander. I mean, that's why I made him my commander.
Because if it's your commander, that means there's recast value. You're going to play it more than once. If they pop it or counter it, at least you have a chance to play them again.
Which is exactly why
You don't
I
have
picked it,
to-
because your only choice is to pop it. You can't counter it.
It's still usable. It's just not
It's not as
fast.
good.
It's
Yeah.
not fast.
I shouldn't say it's not.
You
as good.
lost-
It's still good.
You lost speed. You did not lose anything else but speed. It is not as fast. It's not a bam, we're gonna hit you real quick. It's not that anymore. It's
honestly,
I have to load the ammunition now. So,
yeah, I finally got what I need. Yeah, it's out there.
exactly. It's just like,